me share my screen again. So like I said, really the news, the most recent news was this state of the word. So again, if you're new to the WordPress community, every year one of the founders, if not the primary founder of WordPress, does what's kind of called, state of the word, kind of like State of the Union kind of thing. And he gave that December 2nd or 3rd, I think, just in the past week or two. So it's interesting. If you want to watch the whole thing, you can go to WordPress.org. You go to news. You'll find a link to the YouTube video. But again, if you don't have time for it, I pulled out some interesting info from it. Interesting to me, at least. Definitely like to hear other people if you've watched it, things that were of interest to you. But it always kind of starts with this in terms of, let's say, WordPress adoption. So these numbers actually, unless I'm wrong, I mean, others correct me, it hasn't changed a lot in the past couple of years. So it's still impressive, meaning so WordPress itself as a platform is being used by approximately 43% of all websites in the world. Of all the websites that are using a content management system, which is WordPress is one of those, around 60% of those are using WordPress. So the other like second highest, I guess, in terms of measurable market share for websites is Shopify, which makes sense. People doing e-commerce. To be honest, I've pushed people towards Shopify sometimes if WordPress is still a little too complicated for folks. So, but anyway, that 43% number, it's been in the 40s, I would say, for the past several years at least, which again, still pretty impressive. Some other growth numbers that I wasn't aware of is the increase in non-English speakers. So around 50% of WordPress sites, 56%, sorry, are now non-English. So I can see, it's one of those things, again, you live in the US, yeah, I'm like, well, why do they put so much emphasis on things like translations, things like that? It makes sense. It definitely is a global, worldwide tool. So I think that's interesting to see that part is still growing. And then this one kind of interested me. 40% increase in adoption of block themes. They don't 40% could be anything, but a 40% increase. So I guess people are trying them, and does that include, the default 2025 themes and things like that? Yeah, I don't know what to make of that. Peter,
All right,
you're jumping in. What do you think of it?
I'm gonna jump in here, and I don't know if you mentioned any other numbers because there were a number of numbers put up on the screen. And in my state of not feeling great and also being dealing with this literal, and I say dealing with it, being interested in these topics about how we're presenting WordPress and being an advocate for the DIY small business blogger level. I'm very interested in where they get the numbers. Number one pet peeve that I had with this, just to speak, is they didn't cite their sources or the methodology behind it. Not that you're going to bog down everything into it, but like you said, Ray, 40% increase in adoption of block themes. That could mean, well, there was,
100 up to,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
100 people use block themes and now 140 people use block themes. It's
right.
kind of like, what does that mean exactly? And it was presented, like, oh my, 40% of all users are using
Right.
WordPress.
Right.
It's not the case. That's the specifically 40% increase in adoption, and adoption was pretty low. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, again, all numbers are indicators of something, but I wish there was a little bit more
Yeah.
clarity in numbers, because it's kind of like, oh, well, I know, it's a kind of promotional, and isn't it great that people are embracing, but it's like,
I will say my big takeaway from the numbers part, and they had a whole other one I didn't include in here about the ones that I think are real nonsense numbers, the ones about the number of new themes and plugins added to the
yeah,
repository. To me, that's almost a problem as opposed to something to really applaud. It's like
I
we have
agree 100%.
15,000 new themes added last year. Like why?
Why?
Why did
Yeah,
they do that? But in terms of this number, I still think that this number, the 43% thing, let's assume it is true. It sounds good, but again, I'd have to go back to the last couple of State of the Words. It's kind of plateaued.
yeah,
The one thing I think it's different this year is there seemed to be less of a focus on Wix and Squarespace. I think those platforms have probably also plateaued in a bit. They don't really share the numbers as much. So the
yeah,
Shopify thing is actually interesting. Shopify seems like a more more of a threat with a small t especially to the WooCommerce space, because I do find, again, I've steered some people towards it. So it's just easier. Instead of trying to set up WooCommerce on a WordPress site, go to Shopify. Try
Yeah.
prove your product and your sales first, then come back to WordPress later if you need it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
let me just go through a couple other things too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
some of the other stuff again, we'll talk about AI stuff a little bit later. So this thing about the adapters, actually, I'll go into that quite a bit later. Um, but that was another big focus. I mean, it sort of started last year's State of the Word about they have a dedicated team now doing some AI stuff. I think I'll call that out in a bit more detail in the next slide. But the idea is that AI integration, which we've talked about through this year. I mean, if you, and we'll probably talk about it a bit tonight as well too. That AI, for better for worse, is everywhere. We're still in the honeymoon-ish phase of AI, so you see it incorporated into things like, Jetpack, the automatic plugin. A lot of the page builders, Elementor, Cadence not being a page builder, but you see it incorporated a lot of tools, etc. So it really is there. I mean, I don't think it's going away. We'll talk a little bit more about the future of AI inside of WordPress core, but that was, I think, one of the key things they talked about. But internally, too, this is kind of interesting that they're starting to use within the WordPress.org. They're starting to use AI tools to automate things like plugin reviews, theme reviews, translations, etc. Sort of, I guess, to speed up their backlog of, one of the complaints. I've never been a theme developer or plugin developer, but one of the complaints I've read about is that the process used to be kind of very time consuming. So we'll see. Again, it's one of those, as long as it doesn't sacrifice quality, security, all those kind of things, I guess it's a good thing. Remains to be seen. Um, some other stuff that was one thing that was interesting. We definitely have to spend. We've done a bit of this, but I definitely want to go back and maybe spend some time in January of just doing a deeper dive into a WordPress Playground, which we've used quite a bit. That was a really cool tool that we've shown people this year. But there's some new stuff to it that personally I wasn't aware of because I don't use it all the time. But one cool thing are blueprints. So if you've used another offline WordPress tool like I forgot the name of it. What was the tool that was I can't see on my desktop anymore. What was the one from Flywheel? Local by Flywheel.
Local. Yeah.
Yeah, they used to have the ability to kind of create your own templates. So they call those blueprints, which is kind of neat. But this is a slightly different thing. This is more of handmade, pre-made templates. If we get time today, if we run out of things to talk about, we can show that. But it's kind of interesting. There's 40 of them you can start off with. It's the whole same thing we showed previously of like Cadence and other things having sort of a way to jumpstart building a website. But now this is built into Playground. So that's a neat thing. Another couple of cool things too are the ability to like import either options, new import options for Playground. So not only can you export your Playground, you can also pull in rather quickly. Let's say if you're a developer, especially, and you're working on, let's say, a plugin or something like that, and you have your plugin hosted in the GitHub, you can start pulling things in more easily from those kind of environments or a zip file, et cetera, et cetera. So I like the fact that it seems easier to export and import these Playground things just to get things up and running a bit quicker. There was a thing actually we showed too. I don't personally, I didn't find it all that all that useful, but there's a way to also embed like Playground into a WordPress post or page. Again, if you're doing something educational, let's say maybe you're showing off a feature or your plugin or whatever, it's kind of neat. So people don't have to jump out to go somewhere else. You can sort of embed Playground into your post or page. And then they've also added more tools, which this is really neat too. So remember, Playground, for people who've never used it before, I should put a link. Someone else could beat me to that and put it in the chat. So Playground itself, what's cool about it is it's actually just running in your browser. This is a way to test and play with WordPress, not have to spend a single dime on hosting or anything like that. You basically just are running it in your browser. You close your browser, it goes away. But what's really cool is they've added additional tools like a full-blown hosting. If you actually do get hosting someday, you get access now in Playground to things like a file browser or logs or a database viewer. That's pretty amazing. This is inside your browsers. That's really, really neat to see. And then the other kind of final thing too is WordPress Studio, which I think I showed a little bit of last month or the month before. that is another free offline way to run WordPress. So you can install WordPress Studio. Excuse me, it's an app for Windows or or Mac. I have a Mac, and it allows you to create and spin up websites on your computer. You don't even need to, use a browser or anything like. Well, you don't need to connect directly to Playground itself. But WordPress Studio is also built on Playground too, so it has that nice kind of synergy. A lot of things they're doing with the online version of Playground could also be leveraged in WordPress Studio. So I thought that was a neat one. That one I think definitely I'll have to add it to our list of things to dive deeper into next year as Playground expands.
Yeah, I think it really has improved. One of the simplest things is I think by default now that you can when you load it up, you have the ability to load plugins and themes and things like that without making sure you check the right
Right.
box that says you have an out. Just that simple thing. One, I think a great implementation. There's a couple of things. One is like I've got certain links that I've saved just in my browser bookmarks where by appending to the playground URL, I can say,
Hmm.
give me cadence with the cadence plugin, give me generate press and generate block. I could just basically string in a parameter and it'll all load it up. That being its own kind of blueprint and
Right.
just
Right.
the link, which is cool. But what I really appreciate is I really appreciate plugin developers in the WordPress repository or adding the click to demo, which will open up Playground
Hmm.
with that plugin loaded, so you can try something. Because quite honestly, when we're looking at plugins and we see the little thumbnails thing, the images. Well, that's an indicator, but that is even kind of hard to use and all just because of the size and you want to go from image to image, blah blah blah. But being able to just click a button right out of the repository, open up a Playground session and say, let me see what this plugin does is super handy. I really like that.
You're right. The more you reduce the friction of somebody having to spin up a site and do this and that, you're right. The more people are likely to just try things out. So yeah, that's a great shout out too. Just kind of finally, again, we'll talk more about AI, I'm sure, as we go through tonight. But this was the AI team. So there's a dedicated team within the WordPress, I guess WordPress.org/automatic space. So they're looking at building AI capabilities into WordPress core. So as of WordPress 6.9, the one we'll talk about a bit tonight, here there are some things in here. Some are under the covers, some are things that you can kind of start to see, but these are the four that they called out. One is this, again, these are APIs. So the abilities API, this is an interesting thing. It's basically a way to define for your, not just WordPress, I guess, for your specific site, any capabilities that you want to expose out to AI tools. So it's a way to basically create AI agents in WordPress. So again, you have to think of use cases for that. But I guess the next step of the abilities APIs in the future is actually to be able to create workflows as well. So, let's say you want an AI tool to be able to call your website and do, I don't know, whatever you want to do. You can string together multiple actions there. So I guess it's the building blocks of exposing your site as an agent to an AI tool. The other one is kind of the opposite. It's your site or WordPress core calling an AI tool like OpenAI or whatever. So because there's so many tools out there and there's still a bit of let's say disconnect in terms of standards for each of those different types of tools. This is a way to kind of create a more standardized way for your site to call them. So again, it simplifies if you're trying to call something from AI in WordPress. The other one's the MCP adapter. It's similar, I think, to the abilities API, except it's more of, I think it more is like a registry kind of thing. So you're kind of exposing out. So the first one is building those capabilities and tasks. This one is more defining them in such a way that it makes it easier to be discovered. Is kind of the way at least I took it. And then finally, this one we again may have a chance to play around with a little bit today, but they've actually created a plugin which is on the WordPress.org repository called AI Experiments. And this is supposed to be where, just like they do something like that for Gutenberg, where you can kind of see things early, like any stuff that's being worked on. It's another way for you. again, not production site, do it on your demo site, but another way for you to kind of get an early peek at things that may eventually get rolled into WordPress core. So I think that's nice, at least another way to let people see kind of what's coming in the future and sort of play around with it a bit and give feedback. So that was like the main things I got out of State of the Word. I don't know, Peter, anything I missed or any other big things that caught your eye?
So let me just take a quick look. Using the tools that I have, like using AI to help me summarize. And let me see if there was any other standouts. I think you caught most of it.
Yeah, and I sort of stopped at the AI group, and then after that, it went to
Yeah,
there was some stuff too about community and word camps and all that, and also some, I guess, program that partner with colleges, which is it's kind of interesting. But to be honest, I didn't think there was anything earth shattering in that.
yeah, yeah. So the headline moments: WordPress 6.9 Gene shipped live on stage. You talked about that AI.
We'll dive into that, yeah, quite a
Yeah,
bit. Yep.
foundation. Project health looks strong at scale, and that's where all the numbers were given. And the community education story was heavily emphasized. So talking about contributors and the non-English usage and all that. So it was basically those types of things. So
Yeah.
nothing dramatic. It gets really interesting with both this and 6.9, where sometimes some of these things are presented as if these amazing earth-shattering announcements, and that when you get them and you're like,
Don't steal our thunder for 6.9. Wait till I
okay, let's go,
do.
let's go.
Do you want to do anything for tool or plugin spotlight, or you want to just save
Yeah,
it for the main?
we'll save it for the main. How
All
about
right,
that?
cool. All right, so let's dive in then. So we're going to talk a little bit about, and I'll keep sharing because I why not. So as we talked about, this is State of the Word. So and if you're interested, you can find they have it on the YouTube channel, or if you go to WordPress.org, go to news. It's right there in the State of the Word. You can click on it and watch through it if you wish. You can watch it through. I watch in 1.3 speed at least. But so since we've last met, there's been a new WordPress release. 6.9 has come out. Gene, named after Gene Harris. Again, I'm not a jazz aficionado, but I do. I mean, I still think it is one interesting nod to WordPress's origins, the naming after jazz musicians. So I think that is still cool. So this came out shortly after our last meetup, I believe. So what we'll do tonight is, and we're going to do this a little bit informal. I definitely want to get a pulse feel for folks in terms of who's installed this so far. What you found most interesting about it, things that or any issues you found so far. There was actually one issue. I got my notes here kind of on the side. There was one issue, I guess, that people brought up regarding sending emails. I haven't hit this yet. I don't know. Has anyone run into this? Like the sending mail function apparently failed on, my understanding was just certain types of hosts.
Yeah, I did hear that. I can't tell you the details because it was basically in the different groups that where these conversations take place. It was people kind of you had some of these apparent not a panic mode, but like now I can't send email.
Right. But they're gonna do a
And then,
hot fix for it. It sounds like there's gonna be a six or a fix in
yeah,
6.9.1. I guess there's gonna be a fix for it at some point. But that's
yeah.
really the only main one that I at least heard of, unless others heard of things. So what I thought we can do is let's walk
Well,
through it again. We could
before you
spend.
before
Oh, sorry, go
before you
ahead,
go
Peter.
on, there are some other issues that just have to do with
Okay.
the way it is, without getting too technical because I can't get too technical about it, but like enqueues things and pushes things out. Like people would see something in the editor and go to the page and the page would be blank, or there were issues with WooCommerce and then things wouldn't work there. So there are these kind of weird, this part of WordPress is not talking to that part of WordPress, and then it does have to do with
Did
some
you
of these
see? Yeah, I wonder.
foundational things.
There's one feature
Yeah.
I saw in there that I didn't list, but there's something about the fact that now the editor opens up in an iframe.
Yes.
So I wonder if that might have, because apparently the full site editor has always opened up, it has opened up in an iframe. So they tried making the regular block editor open up in an iframe now
Yeah.
too. So I wonder if that's caused some of those issues too.
Yeah. No, people were running into trouble. I have a trying to find which window it is where I did a quick
Just
AI search
let us
on.
know. So anyone
Yeah.
on here, if you've run into issues after upgrading, we'd love to know kind of what issues you found, and we can look through that chat as we're going through. So it is, as Peter was alluding to, I know we said this before. I mean, my overall summary of 6.9, meh. It's
Yeah.
not, it's a meh release. It's there's some stuff in it that's interesting. There's some stuff that probably is puzzling, and then there's stuff that is like whatever. Yeah, we'll brush past it. So I thought what we can do is we'll go through kind of the main highlights. We'll probably spend a little bit of time on everything. Um, and then however much you want to dive into or not. And some of them I may dive into a little bit more just because I find it worth of discussion as opposed to not really worth your time. Maybe just to see these may be signs of things to come. So that leads us to notes, the very first feature. So what is this? It's the ability to leave feedback. Again, this is a back-end admin thing. It's ability to leave feedback directly on blocks. So the thought is if you're working, let's say there's multiple people, you're working in a team, multiple people are making edits to a site, and then multiple people editing a page in particular, or any kind of shared page or post. Its ability to add notes to blocks. I guess you could do it if you're just a solo person working on a site just for yourself, like they say, to track changes, things like that. Personally, I don't think that'd probably be the best place to put them. It seems to be more of a collaboration type of tool. So if you use something like, I mean, to be honest, even going to like Microsoft Word or anything that's like a shared document, especially think of Google Docs where you can people put notes and comments, things like that. That's basically what the gist of this is supposed to be. So before we demo it, I have a couple notes on notes. So again, they say it's leave feedback right where you're working, allows you to leave contextual feedback at the block level, track changes, blah, blah, blah. But this is part of, we haven't talked about it. Actually, they don't show a slide anymore, but there was this whole idea of this roadmap a couple of years ago for WordPress. And there were three different phases. This is the third phase called collaboration, which kind of got delayed for a bit because they were so busy on some of the other ones. But the idea is that really trying to turn WordPress into something more like a modern web app, like let's say a cloud app, like Google Docs or something like that. Allow multiple people to work on things. Because if you've ever had to work on a site where somebody else is making edits, you probably may have run into the situation where you get locked out of something. It says, "Oh, so and so is editing something." That's again just kind of the way that WordPress was built in the past. So the thought of this is you leave a note and the thing is too that the notes, I didn't get this to work. Again, maybe because I was just doing it to myself, but if you correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're not the author, let's say if you're doing a post, if I'm leaving a note on a post, that you can get an email notification sent to the post author. I did not test that. I thought I heard some mixed results about whether those emails are working or not. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. So my guess is unless you tried being different users to see.
yeah, I did
Um,
not do that. Yeah.
yeah, because so what's interesting about this is it's actually a variation or implementation of
Comments.
what is used in comments
Yeah.
for blog posts, where you can have for anybody who still has comments on, and it's kind of an interesting thing because all the issues that we have with managing and monitoring, but it's basically putting comments on the back end so that you can so then things like, oh, you made a comment, a note on the back end and somebody else commented on that, you can get the email that says
Right.
oh, they're responding.
So it sounds like there's an ability to control that, whether you want email notifications or not. There's also, I brought this up too, because this is some of the more detailed notes, detailed information about notes. I hate to use notes twice, but apparently not everyone can do things like edit the notes. So if you're just a subscriber or user role, you can just view them, et cetera, et cetera, or you cannot view any notes if you're author, et cetera. Um, so there's that, and then what was the other piece? Yeah, so Peter said this too. So where are they? Because that's my nerdy question. Like, where are these stored? So they are, I think I have a quick example. We don't have to go into details, but they are stored in the comments table itself. So that's where you'll see like the history of the notes. There's some weird stuff too about when a note gets resolved. That confused me at first, but well, I'll show you that in a second too. So let's, again, probably spend more time. It'd be easier just to show you a quick example of it. So let me create a new page. We'll call this tonight's demo. Tonight demo. And then I'll add a block of whatever. Just it doesn't matter. It's because it's on any block. So let's add a button block. Button. And I'm just going to publish it just so I have a copy out there. Yeah, publish. Go ahead. So now at this point, oops. At this point, I can go add a note. I will change this to a different color later. Add my note, right? There it is. My note is there. And then I can get out of here. Oops, sorry. Oh, I can save too. Good to know. Cancel, save. I get out of here. I come back to my, hey, let's pretend I'm somebody else. I come back in. When I jump in here, there's supposed to be, oh, I thought there was supposed to be a visual indicator. So to see the note, here's one thing, and unless I'm wrong, you can click on this and see the note. I thought when I went here, okay, when you click on the block, you can also see the note. So let's say this is my second comment. So you can imagine this is back and forth with multiple people or to yourself for whatever reason. So beyond being able to add them, the other thing you can do is, let's say you come back in here later, I can edit this note, I can change this, update that. Again, if I was looking at the database behind the scenes, we'll just, so this is post number 261, just real quick, just for, let's search post number, let's see, 261, go.
Look at you getting into the nitty gritty of the tables.
Yeah, just to see, again, I'm just to see what it looks like. So if you
while
look
you're
at
doing that, for anybody who doesn't know, WordPress is using a database in the back end, and there's a whole lot of things that are connected to a whole lot of things. Ray right now is looking at the table where this is all being stored.
Right. Yeah, because I was confused at first about where these things went to. I'm like, where are they? And the way I got to this, again, this is a database tool. I know my post ID because if I look up here, oops, I looked up here in the URL, you can see the post ID is right there, 261. So that's how I found it. So, in terms of what else can I do with these notes? One thing you can do is you can delete them from here, but you can also resolve them too. So once it's resolved, note remark is resolved, and let's save this. I think what happened, if I remember correctly, is let me get out of here again. And I went back into the demo. And when I click on the block, I don't remember if it showed the resolved notes or not. It doesn't show automatically, but you can always see them up here instead. Yeah, marked as resolved. So there's some kind of status to these things. It's a little strange though, because you can only see them in here. Unless I'm wrong too, like I don't know if you saw, I had to click on the little comment thing up here to see them all. Like there's nothing intuitive yet, unless I'm missing something that shows me that this thing has notes. So
most of the WordPress key communicators are also a kind of apologists for some of these stuff, and they're talking about, well, it's rudimentary as we work our way into phase 3 collaboration.
Yeah.
So, now, may I comment on this in terms of
usefulness
and all? So, never mind the fact that we'll have, at some point we'll have a conversation. One of the research where I'm spending a lot of kind of my time researching some of the things about WordPress are around the topic of collaboration and who it's actually going to benefit and things like that. This is part of that that whole tool. For the individual user, there are better note-taking methods, including, by the way, you could just do it using something like a Google Docs or something and saying, oh, let me keep track of things. There's a couple of plugins that I've used over time that are at a page level. This is at a block level, for example. And if you're doing it for yourself to keep track of things, it's kind of, it's an interesting thing. So this is one of those things that gets introduced as this feature that's leading into more features. How much is it going to be used by us? Well, if it works for you, great, fantastic. But yeah, I don't see people necessarily having a conversation with themselves
Yeah,
about a particular block, as opposed to, I like the idea of maybe like, oh, I'm working on a page. Let me keep a running list of things that I might want to do, and there are plugins for that. So
right.
mileage may
Yeah.
vary. Say that a lot, but yeah, there's.
The one other quick thing on this too is when I first played around with this, I don't know, again, unless I'm missing something. Like I said, I was able to see the history of these notes by clicking on the little notes icon up here. But what I was expecting was to also see them stored as revisions, which they're not stored as revisions, unless I'm missing something. Let me double check again. So here's my demo from tonight. If I go back, previous. Yeah, see, it just has the stuff I've been doing with my button, but the actual notes are not. I can see the note ID. Maybe that's the thing that tells me that it has something to it. So I didn't get enough time to play around with it. Like if I restore that previous revision, does that mean it restores all the previous notes with it?
I'm curious, and I've honestly not tried that. You could try it right now. Is what happens if you accidentally delete the block and
Oh,
then
they
and
should.
then
Well, let me just see. So I restore this revision. Let's see. So it's back to whatever it was. I should have made the revision more. Yeah, I guess it did. But it's funny. It missed my other one that says, "Oh no, it's still in here." So no. So it kind of it's weird. It seems like it brought my revision back, but it kept my notes sort of separate from it. If that's what I'm saying, my quick 2 minute thing. So anyway,
yeah.
probably spent more time than we need to on notes, but that was one of the first. That's one of the first things. That's notes. That's one of the big things. And as Peter said, and in fairness too, I do think they mentioned this. Oh, sorry, they mentioned that it's kind of laying the groundwork for additional collaboration stuff in the future. So I'll give them that. Um, visual drag and drop. I don't know, Peter, do you want to cover this one? You're
Sure.
right with.
Yeah, yeah.
I know it'll
So
probably take all 2 seconds, but
yeah, exactly. Well, although it was interesting you say that, but I want to make sure that let me get the right screen up. So the visual drag and drop. One of the things that's kind of interesting is when I first tried it, I couldn't. I didn't know what was happening right away because what I was looking for. Say I was on this post here. This is a demo site that I use. And if I'm editing this post, and I should have, let me make sure that I have 6.9 running. That would be helpful. By the way, the return arrow is an interesting thing. I don't know if you've noticed
yeah.
the back arrow pops up, but not 100% of the time. I'm not sure what combination of things makes that what was the logo of the site or whatever be a back arrow. So let me go to my dashboard. Let me double check my updates. Again, if you're not sure or if you have auto loading, so this is current version is 6.9. Okay, so that that that's good to know. So let me go back to where I was. Back. So the visual dragging and dropping. So normally when you drag and drop something, when you click on it, you have the 6 dots, and the 6 dots that allows you to pick things up, drag them, and you get a little line indicator where you're going to put it. The visual version, which is only going to act on a couple of things on this particular post, because it does not work on headings and it does not work on paragraphs. Because if I try to click there, I can't, if I try to just drag it, I can't do it because I'm not getting what I need, which is, I'll show you over here. If I click on this block now, if I go like to the edge, I will get the hand. And now when I drag and drop it, I can see the thing that I'm picking up and dropping, and I can drop it into a different part of the site. That it works on pretty much, and I haven't experimented with every last block, but it works on pretty much everything except for singular headings and paragraphs. If you put them in a group, you can pick up the whole group and move it. And again, what's nice about it is being able to see the thing that you're moving. And again, you get that the line in this case is a red line, but only because that's what this admin theme is showing. But that's basically it. But you have to look for that hand icon that is going to allow you to do it, which you won't see over here on a text. Even if you go to the edge, in some cases, you also you find that you kind of have to go to the edge. So say I had a group, let's just do it. If I have this, all this, and then I group it. So now this is all in a group. Again, I can't drag and drop the things in here that I'm highlighting, but if I go kind of to the, oh, don't make a liar out of me.
You have to select the group.
Oh, I got to select a group. Right.
I think.
And even then, I'm not seeing it. Oh my goodness.
Mm.
So that's the thing. I've done it before with some things. Maybe if it just
the only other thing I'd say probably worth showing, and Peter, I don't know if you have another image on here, but I saw a thing too where if you're dropping images on each other, it'll create a gallery for you.
Yeah.
And
so
then
if I pick this up and bring it over here, and I think you're right. If I drop it,
drop another image.
Come on, you can do it. I should have picked the top one and brought it down to the bottom. Well, let me drop it here and see where. There
we go. So close.
And if I put it there,
create a gallery. Well, create a gallery, and then within the gallery, that's what's great. Maybe because it's with. I don't know.
It didn't.
Should, or maybe you put them side by side.
It's
because it thinks one is embedded. Interesting.
It could be because I have
alignment or something.
Alignment already set. So if I let's try that. Set alignment to none, put them together.
Yeah, interesting. That was the only other demo I saw of them creating a gallery. And then if you have an existing gallery, the little hand you can use it to shift things around.
You shift things around, exactly. So again, it's one of these things where, for the most part, when you have a lot of things with groups and sections, I should bring up another page that has different sections that are grouped together. You could, and that's where it gets really handy in picking up whole rows that might have a layout put in there. Eagle, who knows a lot of things. What do you got, Eagle?
Oh, I don't know anything. I'm just curious about that arrow in the upper left corner.
Yeah, so I'm seeing this on a variety of sites now. I don't think it's a cadence thing. I don't think so. But on different sites, I'm getting basically it's a visual indicator to go back to where you were. Let me try. Let's try it,
because I don't have that on my sites.
Let's try something real quick. Maybe it is. So let me come up to here, and I'm going to switch the theme to let's start with Astra. This is just a little AI plugin that I created that allows me to switch things really quick. Let me go to posts. Let me go to one of these. Doesn't even matter, but let me go to one of the demo posts. Yeah, I've got it. So it doesn't appear to be theme based because I turned this into Astra.
I don't see. I'm using 2025, and I don't see that.
Yeah, I've noticed that when I'm on different sites now, I'm getting this sort of reverse arrow, oh, you're going to go back to the previous. I can't tell you why, especially it doesn't appear to be theme based based on just this quick little text. Let's change it to another thing. Let's change.
I see when I hover. I guess when I hover, I wonder if that's it. So Peter, when I'm opening up, can I grab the screen just for a quick second?
Yeah, go ahead.
One second here. So I'm using 2025, and so this is just oops. It does it kind of dynamically when I move my cursor over. It says view pages here, but it seems like yours is sort of stuck in that view pages arrow. It's kind of weird. I wonder if it's your browser or something. Maybe it's something in the
cache. That's another thing that I've been running into, which is very browser-specific things where all of a sudden I'm but I just loaded a block theme and I still have the arrow on this particular site. I can't tell you why. Who knows? Maybe it's another plugin I have. Maybe the admin, the ASE, what is it, admin?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Maybe that's a feature of that plugin. I don't know. It's a weird thing. All I know is that I've been seeing this little, like, just go back to the previous screen, top left arrow versus
The
the
WordPress
logo.
logo. Yeah. Okay.
This is that constant thing for anybody who's using WordPress to pay attention to know that not every user experience and every site is going to be the same for reasons. So,
All right, let's keep going through a couple more 6.9 things. So this one's interesting. So hide blocks is another feature. So hide blocks, the theory behind it is you hide blocks, make it easy to tuck away content without actually deleting it. So when you hide a block, they're visually removed from the editor and fully omitted from the published markup. So we'll take a look at that in a second. This is the actual more details on the hide blocks thing. So I think I have a page already created, so I won't waste people's time. It's 2020. Where did I put it? Oh, 6.9. Here we go. So I have this page, a bunch of stuff here. So it's this block. So let's say this image block, and just to show you right now, if we look at this page, we look at the page. Let's look at it here. There you go. You can see the cat peeking out a window or something. But if I go and now, so when you click on a block, and I believe it works obviously for groups and things like that as well too, I can hide it. So it's interesting. So block is hidden. You can still see it in this list view and see how it's a little eye over it. I guess one of the things that I've read a little bit about too is one of the complaints people seem to have is if you don't have a document view open like that, you don't know there's anything hidden here. So that's kind of one complaint.
yeah.
So it just to show again. So on the front end as well too, it's hidden. So the cat's gone. So it's interesting. I mean, I can see the value of this. I've done this before on other sites, Cadence, Elementor, things like that, but they give you a lot more granular control of, like, for example, hide something on mobile, or desktop, things like that. And in general, even Divi, I'm thinking about this is from Divi, whatever, early versions of that. You can hide stuff. You can choose the device type to hide it, but you'll still see a grayed out version of what's hidden. So that was a few of the complaints I've read about this feature. It's kind of an all or nothing thing. And again, you can unhide it once, so you want to show it again and there it's back. But it's unless you know there's something there, or unless you typically, I mean, I do typically keep the list view open. It can be a little confusing.
There's so there's a couple things about this particular one, which is it's kind of an interesting conversation, partly because again, they'll be like, well, this is the first iteration of this kind of thing. Because most of us, because we're either using many tools that have had this for years to be able to conditionally show things, and that conditional show or not show is something they're going to add. But there's also the famous Nick Diego block visibility plugin that works pretty much anywhere. So that ties directly to it, which has a ton of options that you can say, whatever, logged in users see it, don't see it, whatever. And then one of the other features is, again, like you said, being able to see the block and have some indicator on the editor screen, whether in one case there's a line around it with a little eyeball that tells you, and then the flip case, in another case it has
dimmed, or like dimmed thing,
it's grayed or whatever. Was kind of interesting. One thing that I discovered, because I've had an AI conversation specifically about this, in terms of how about being able to toggle it in or out. I don't know if you've noticed this, but if you have a hidden block and then you go to the list view, like you're looking at, where it'll show you the eyeball that shows it's hidden. If you click on the block, you will get the toolbar on the editor screen where it is, where you actually have a toggle to turn it on and off. It's kind of this,
interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of this interesting little thing that I discovered, that it's like, oh, it knows where it is. Because I was using AI for an afternoon trying to say, can I write a code snippet that will give me some indicator of where hidden blocks are? Give me a line. Right. And because of all the new ways the editor is working, including the whole iframe stuff, it couldn't. It basically gave up. It just said, "Oh, we're spending way too much time on something that I don't know if we can do right now."
One thing too, just for folks, one thing that's also kind of interesting behind the scenes is on the page itself, it's actually not there. So like from a CSS standpoint, you can do like display none or something, but it's still there in the HTML. This one's not there, which makes sense. So it's
Yeah,
completely, it's as if
that
it's
was one.
gone. Yeah.
That was one of the issues that AI had with being able to target it to be able to do things to it. It literally wasn't there, so
Right.
it couldn't find anything. There's no
So this
class.
this one, to me, it's, I hate to say it, like, I want to be the Debbie Downer for some of these releases, but it feels half baked, and we're going to run into that theme for several things. I think there's some features here that feel like half baked, and I get it. It's a
Hey,
starting
that
point.
I'm the Debbie Downer of the
Yeah,
group.
but like,
My
but I'm like,
job.
like, man, if you're gonna go through all the trouble, and I get it, again, if you go back to say the word thing, and you see like the number of people who again, kudos to all of them for putting in the time and everything to do this, but I was just kind of feel some of the stuff to me is like, man, you put it out there, it's half baked, no one's going to use it, which leads us to the accordion block. That's what will be real quick. So the accordion block, if you're not familiar with it, one example that they use quite in the use case is like FAQ, right? So there's, if you have frequently asked questions, anything like that, where you have some drop downs, et cetera, et cetera. So, you can create an accordion around it, and that has not been a core block in the WordPress core. So they've added in 6.9 this accordion block. Again, just for the sake of time, I'll show you. I won't add one from scratch, but this is kind of what it looks like. So when you add an accordion, it comes with, I believe, one item. So the way this is structured, it's kind of a group. You have an accordion item, an accordion heading, and then you can put your text in there. So the heading here, I just put, let's pretend this is an FAQ. And one thing it kind of, again, not to start complaining already, is it doesn't actually give, there's not like a heading block to this. So I already have to start off by putting something above it. So here's my FAQ. I can put titles to each one of these items, but it's not, whatever. So anyway, and then you can add multiples of these, right? So here's how it works. Let me show you again on the live site. Here's what it looked like, just like the way FAQs work. You can open and close them, et cetera, et cetera. It's okay, but again, it's one of those like, I don't know, like maybe I'm expecting too much from core, but man, there's not a lot of styling. I can show an icon, but basically the icon is just unless I'm missing something again, it's just the little plus icon. It's, you can't really control where the icon goes. Yeah, you can have auto close, etc. So auto close, just to show that behavior. That's, you open one up at a time.
Yeah.
So this one opens, this one closes the other one. It's, and again, what I find interesting slash frustrating sometimes is like when I see this, I'm like, yeah, that looks nice. How do you do this? It's a ton of CSS and it's all this
Yeah.
additional stuff. Like, oh, okay, I get it. But to me, it's like, what the heck's the point of it? So
Well,
Cadence, many other
yeah,
block packages include accordions that are already like so much more powerful. So to me, it's like, yeah, it's there. Half
exactly. No,
baked
I
again.
agree with you, right? In terms of like we're used to whether you're using a page builder or whether you're using a block package that is, advanced like Cadence or any number of other ones. We have these things where you can control what icon you're using and a styling behind it and things like that. One of the things I just want to comment specifically on this block that just because I discovered it today is, and I can put the link into it. It's a little bit of advanced, in fact, even for me to make sure, that and using it. But somebody had made the point of saying, okay, so there's something called schema. Schema basically is a way of defining that this is a specific thing so that search engines and other things can know, oh, this is a certain thing. Specifically, you mentioned FAQs. So FAQs are often found in a accordion, right? Question, click on it, answer. Frequently asked questions, question answer pairs, that kind of thing. That's not built into this block yet. Who knows what it is? But I'll put a link into it again, maybe beyond us, but because it's a developer who put something out there. GitHub is a place where
I
people
saw that.
develop,
Yeah.
share. Did you see this already?
Yeah.
Which was a way of, basically it's like it's a plugin that enhances the core accordion block to then have a toggle for add the FAQ to it.
Schema. Yeah.
So this is what it's great, but it's also like when communicating a lot of this stuff to everybody, how it can get very confusing about, like, well, there's the code, and then there's
Yeah.
what's in core, and then there's plugins that enhance thing, or code snippets that enhance thing. In this case, it's kind of in between because it's a
And,
developer. Yeah,
and
go ahead.
I was saying schema, for folks who don't know, like schema itself it's behind the scenes. You don't see it. So like events is another, let's say, data type that, if you're using the events calendar, for example, it not only shows events properly in WordPress, but it also saves the data in proper schema format so that things like, search engines, for example, can crawl that and see, oh, I've got the event, and now all this information you may see actually show up in a search engine. It's pulling all this additional stuff from your schema. So yeah, I think to like Peter's point,
Right, and it's
yeah,
defined. This is the location. This
right.
is date. This is that time.
So there's schemas for things like, recipes, things like that. And a lot of times your SEO plugin or whatever, or the block itself should really maintain that structure. So yeah, you're right. It's kind of like, but I will say in their defense, the accordion can be used for anything, right? It doesn't have to be used for an FAQ. So that I understand, maybe not putting out that specific schema, but the other just real confusing. The other thing that was kind of confusing, I guess I didn't know this till I was reading up on this a little bit too. So meanwhile, apparently unbeknownst to me, there's been this other block around for a while, which is the details block. It's basically like a mini accordion that you could. I didn't know this. So that's a shame on me, but it's kind of like an accordion. But it's just a single one. I mean, you can create multiples of these and create your own FAQ with it. So I don't know. So anyway, it's accordion block. That's bare bones styling. That's kind of my note to myself. Some of these other ones we'll go through these definitely a lot more quickly, I think. So those were the two big interesting ones to me, and then the dragging dropping. So notes, hide blocks, accordion. I'll mention a couple of these, and Peter, definitely jump in with your favorites too. This one I kind of, to be honest, I forget about it. It is kind of neat. So the command palette. What is this command palette? So I forget. So I'm on a Mac. So if I press the Control K, boom, this thing opens up, and it's actually pretty powerful. I remember seeing this. I don't remember when this got added, but you basically can do lots of things in this command palette. So I can do things in the context of this page because I'm editing a page, or I can do things like I can find settings, settings for my media library, and it'll bring me there. That's neat. It really is. How many? I don't know. Show of virtual hands. How many people use this or know about it? Just show of virtual hands. And Eagle, you don't count. Gene, you do. All right, good. Anyone else? I don't see a raising of. Is that the only? No, Bob shaking his head. Yeah, I think I remember seeing this once. I was like, oh, that's cool. I'll never remember to do it again. So
Yeah,
again, not to say it's not worthwhile, but
it's kind of a habit for those people who use it, and that Control K, Command K ends up being something that is kind of relatively universal. What's weird is before they implemented it, if you tried it and Chrome has its own what it does, so one thing has to usurp the other, kind of thing. There were also other things like plugins like WP Turbo or that did this same type of thing. It's just I see it being handy. At the same time, it's not in my muscle memory.
right.
Hit the Control K. The other thing that I found, depending what it is and depending on server, as people have been following us for a while, I've got a number of demo sites, but it's on a low powered server, and I got a whole lot of things running on it. So on the back end, things can run slow, and sometimes it's faster to just click to something versus the Control K,
Oh, really?
hit enter, and then it has to think about it for a while. I found that a very interesting I don't know what it's
Is that
doing.
because, yeah, maybe it's in context. So when I'm on the page, I know it's Control K brought up like it has a kind of a page context.
Yeah.
Maybe, or if I'm on a block, like for example, I think I was on this block. Now the Control K is giving me a block. So maybe it's this list that it comes up with that it's finding
Yeah.
it. So,
I don't know. The list comes up quickly, but then when I hit enter to go to the thing,
oh, okay,
sometimes that was like, okay, I could have clicked that 3 times already.
right. I mean,
Don't
so
know
I
why.
get it. It's interesting. I think it's one of those like personally, I don't think I would use it much. Let me jump to some other.
It's actually pretty awesome
Hmm,
because you can go right to like editing a page. You can go right to something. You can jump. Uh, and I haven't seen it slow, so I don't know what that is. But it's pretty fast on my sites. You just
yeah,
hit Command Page and you say edit and start the page number, and man, you can just zip right there. Or you
oh,
can
yeah,
uh, click Command K, add plugin, or just it really
do that. Yeah.
once you start using it, it's it's fantastic. But
I can see that. I mean, that's why I'm a keyboard guy for some stuff. Again, kind of growing up in the DOS days and all that. But that one to me, I guess I totally forgot about it until they mentioned it because like, oh, it's the. I'm like, oh, I guess it was always there, but now it's just open more into more pages and things. So
Well, it was introduced first in full site editing.
right, maybe that's what it was. Yeah,
So
well, it's much more powerful in 6.9 than it ever
yeah,
was. That's
yeah,
the thing. There's
yeah,
there's a whole slew of new jump tos that weren't there before.
yeah. Oh, and this is important and actually very valuable. It understands plugin relationships and
right.
other things. Right? So that's really cool. Like it's oh, you got settings in this plugin or that
I
plugin.
think I saw something about that in the State of the Word, maybe where you as a developer sort of expose functionality to it. So that's how it'll know, like you're right. So if I did, for example, settings in here, if I had a plugin that had some special functionality, I think it would allow me to go into that directly from here. So some other quick ones too. Galleries set different aspect ratios. So what this was is, I believe I forget which level it is. Okay, so here aspect ratio. So now that they added some more, I can make them tall. I can make them classic. I can do 3:2. So yeah, nice to use galleries. I mean, it's actually not bad. On occasion, this is a really simple way if you have a couple of pictures to do a gallery. Um, this one's a strange one, the allowed blocks one. I still don't understand the use case for this. So the way I understood it, I don't know if I did a demo on this one. Let me make a group, I guess. Let me do a
Yeah,
group.
while you're doing that, right? I mean, this would probably be more targeted for like when an agency develops something
Yeah,
and then says, okay, when you use this thing, you can only there's only certain things you can use within it.
sorry, this
Okay.
is my Zoom is blocking, and it's under. Is this the one that's under advanced? Yes, it's under advanced, kind of a strange place. So I can say manage allowed blocks. So within this group, let's just say I only want to let people do headings and paragraphs, and let me pick something else and buttons there and apply it. So what does that mean? So now when I'm in this group and I hit the plus block sign, that's when it gives me the stretchy ones. It's basically, maybe I forgot to uncheck those. It's limiting the types of blocks I can add within here. So I guess, yeah, I can see it within, if I'm creating a template or if this is a pattern, I guess that's saved. But I don't know. It's kind of, I guess I still haven't wrapped my head around the usefulness of this at this point. So that's what it is. If you have a need for it, it's there. Time to read and word count blocks, kind of self-explanatory, although I always question the validity of these things. So time to read, when you add that, again, I just dropped a block in here. So it'll look at your content. Obviously makes sense in like blog posts, things like that. It'll try to calculate based on the word count, I believe. Yeah, 'cause you can switch it to word count as well. So I assume it's using some average reader, average eighth grade education reader or something. That's so these things seem to do. So it's not bad. Again, if you're creating a blog, you want to put that someplace. I kind of wish it had a heading in front of it to say time to read. just
Yep.
1 to 2 minutes. If I throw that someplace, I'm going to need to put something else above it to say what the heck does that mean. That's
Yeah. So there's a couple. Can I jump on
yeah,
here real
yeah,
quick?
please.
So yeah, there have been feedback about people saying things like, yes, I want to be able to put something before it, after it, that type of thing, put it in line, that type of thing. I actually, this is one of the few things like in development where I was commenting in the make WordPress.org section about this and contributed to why this was actually delayed. And so because it was oversimplified and kind of because of my sensitivity to things like accessibility, it was like, well, how do you give options that say, why do you think that this is going to take 2 minutes to read? It depends on a whole lot of factors. And there was a lot of debate going back and forth about, having options about, short, medium, long, or word count, or things like that. And now they compromise with a range. I still find it a little problematic, only because maybe I'm just a little too hypersensitive to some of the things that normalizes something like, oh, this should take you 5 minutes to read, whatever.
Yeah.
And then there's whole usefulness. Other folks love it. I think this also falls into where a lot of what you'll find what's going on with 6.9 and the conversations about 7.0 and the collaboration stuff and all is, again, targeting large sites that have a whole lot of content and being able to say, oh, this is, so it's something, but this is one's very interesting to me because I had direct involvement in the process and the debate behind what could or shouldn't be there. I'm not saying I agree with everything they came out with, but at least they took into consideration things like, because originally it was going to be, this is a 5-minute article.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think it's worthwhile, except for blogging.
yeah.
In fact, it's one of those like you're surprised it hasn't been there longer. But yeah, it's how accurate. Again, I have a Kindle too. Every time I use my Kindle, it'll tell me based on your
So
reading
Yeah.
speed, here's what it
c-
is. Then later, like, oh, you read faster than I thought. You read slower than I thought. So it adjusts on the fly. Where this obviously you
Yeah.
can't do that.
And,
So
and
could
I'm super curious about how many people actually look at that and heed it versus what I do, which is I scroll the whole thing and go, oh, this is a really long article kind of stuff. So I'm just curious about the actual usefulness to it. Maybe in the archive summary link to all the things that might say, oh, this is a
yeah.
10-minute, 15. Go ahead, Eagle. Go ahead.
So why can't you just put a paragraph and say time to read in front of it? I mean, that's what I would do.
yeah, yeah, you can. Yeah, that thing is for me just nitpicking, not having a label in front of it. But I think it's more the count of it. And I mean, I do pay attention to it in somewhat, Peter. Like for example, I'll throw things just because I'm a big e-reader fan. I'll throw things into Instapaper, and that'll save it to my e-reader, or you can read it on the web and all that. So if I'm looking for a quick read, sometime I will say, oh, let me see, do I have 5 minutes versus 15 or something? But it's
Yeah.
like again, it's the same thing. It's the accuracy of those things. Just
And that's a great point where some of the feedback should be back to like, well, how do we make this more useful for those types of reasons? I think that's great, right? Something that says, I've got an option of doing a whole bunch of things. What articles do I want to read?
yeah.
I'm not totally naysaying it. In fact, I thought it was something that folks were looking for. I just want to make sure there was enough options on the back end that says, hey, let's not totally oversimplify some of these things.
Then in the declining scale of usefulness, we then have the math block, which I did not even add to the demo. So it's like I don't recall the formula where it made sense, but it shows it in what is it, Lex format or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was playing with it today by asking Ed to give me a bunch of different formulas in like plain text and post it in. It's cool,
Yeah.
but I have no reason for it.
Sure.
But again,
I don't use footnote, things and all that
yeah.
either. Yeah.
But the point being here is that WordPress is used in a lot of like higher education
Sure.
and educational sites, and having that, so there's an audience for
Good.
it. So
Yeah. No, I agree. Good to have. It's not one that I would demo. So the stretchy text one's a little funny. Let me see if I can do it because I saw the use case seem to be in something like this. Now, if you have a better one, Peter, if I go stretchy heading. Here's my stretchy heading. So the thought behind this, where this seemed to be the most sense, is if you put this inside of a contained element. So in this case, if I just said, here is my heading it's all right. You can see what basically what the gist of it was is I'm
Right.
typing. Oh, it's still getting longer. So it's sort of shrinking it down to fit that size. So if I save this, I guess it does save you the sense of having to figure out and play with the font and everything. So it's kind of nice in that sense. That's the only place I could really think where it makes sense is in sort of a contained thing like cover block
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah. So it's very specific to if you had an overall design where you wanted to have text fill from the full width of a particular area. That's what it does. The
And
stretchy
it's responsive.
and it's responsive.
Yeah, okay, so good point. So if I look at this through, yeah, yep, exactly. So it shrunk down. You're right. So I don't have to worry about setting it to whatever. Like I guess you can set it to a relative size. So I'm curious. What is this? What did it define the text as? Oh, it does actually have a pixel size to it.
Yeah, it surprised me. It doesn't use clamp. It
Yeah,
just does whatever view it is, it assigns a font size. And
interesting.
so there's some calculation going on in the background, but
Yeah,
it doesn't appear to be clamp.
yeah. I was thought because it says has fixed. Yeah, has something text. I saw has fit text. Maybe that class is what's doing the magic there. Yeah, it's interesting. I would have thought like a relative um, unit or something, but that's a good point though. Yeah, so at least it saves you the trouble of playing around with things like font sizes, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the stretchy block and stretchy heading. Cover block, the ability to change.
Hang on, I got one comment.
Yep.
Paragraph. There's also a stretchy paragraph.
Yeah.
No purpose for it whatsoever, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, is it not the same?
Because it puts the entire paragraph on one line.
Oh yeah, that's
It just
right.
gets smaller and smaller and smaller.
That's right. So I tried.
Eagle, have you thought of any use of the stretchy paragraph?
Made no sense to me.
None.
Nah. Yeah.
All right,
So
that's right. So let's just demo because it's kind of funny. If I go stretchy again, oops. Stretchy
yes,
paragraph.
And this is, you can also show, this is like if you put a paragraph or a heading and then you want to, you can select.
Oh yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not stretchy at all.
It's just silly.
It's squishy.
Yeah, it just squid, right. And I even tried, okay, if you put a hard return, like a shift return, so it's all the same paragraph, you could do it. But again, what's the point?
Yeah,
Well,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Believe that.
Yeah, that one's like, it's because it was the same logic to the same type of block and it was easy to do.
Right.
But don't use it. There's zero reason to use that.
Only thing I can think of is that they wanted to give you the same function. Say if you're like using a paragraph as a heading, but don't want an H tag on it. That's the only thing I can think of. Like if you wanted to.
Yeah, then give me a div toggle or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Or or give me the ability to just say, okay, this stretchy heading is a paragraph, or this stretchy heading is a div. Like you say.
So this other one, the other one is the cover block. Now the same thing. If you go to the style option for the cover block, you now have the aspect ratio where I can say, give it to me wide, give it to me tall, et cetera, et cetera. So at least it's similar to what you could do up in the gallery there. So could be useful. And then the last one I saw before, anything else in the editor? Did I miss anything, Peter, like block stuff or editor stuff?
Let me take a look at my list while you talk about the
Yeah,
next thing.
the last one I saw was, and this was, I don't know if I test this now, but in the import and export website, I don't think I saw this in the demo. Where was this?
So that error is a function of being in full screen mode, editing mode. It doesn't show up if you're in regular.
Oh.
If you turn off the full screen editing.
Oh. So you must be in full screen editing mode, Peter. Oh, I don't think you are.
You are too. You are too.
I'm not getting the arrow though.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, wait a second.
That's why I said it, because I just saw it. When you mouse over the W, it'll turn into an arrow.
Right. You say I'm in full screen editing mode. Where do I change that?
3 dots.
Yeah.
Third, fourth one down.
Oh, full screen mode.
Yeah, full screen.
Oh,
Sorry.
oh God, that's the only way I ever do it. Yeah. Oh, interesting. I didn't even. It's so funny. I don't know if is that on by default? I don't remember setting that. That
I
feels
don't
like
know
that's on by
because
default.
I don't usually go into full screen mode.
Wow.
But anyway,
Interesting. Okay, good to know.
that's why I didn't see it.
I thought you were talking about the other one. I thought you were talking about this like spotlight mode or distraction free mode, but yeah, full screen. But that's
No,
funny.
you don't even get the W in that mode.
Right. Okay. So the other one I was gonna show real quick is where was it? Under tools. This is supposed to be part of data liberation. Again, I never really use this for importing, exporting. Apparently under import. Oh, we don't get it. Hold on, I can install this thing first. I think it was this one, right? Oh no. So this import. Let's see importer network. I thought there was. Oh, maybe it's not.
You have to have a file first. You have to
Oh
have
yeah, never
an
mind.
import
Yeah,
file to where you
yeah,
see
but
the.
apparently there's a new option in there to change the imported URLs to match the site you're importing it to.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
better search and replace kind of thing.
right.
There you go.
But it doesn't work on Elementor,
Oh, yeah, try.
or that's what I've heard. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't use Elementor that much, but I've
I've
heard
never
the
found it easy
forums.
to even export pages out of Elementor on a full site.
Well, yeah,
Another day.
let's don't go there into that hole.
Yeah. So that's 6.9. I mean, there's some interesting-ish stuff in there. Peter, any other favorites that you saw from?
There's a couple of things that popped up that I think are more like for design. There's a terms query, so a query
Oh
loop that
yeah,
looks at terms. What's weird about that? It almost reminds me of one of the widgets that are like,
right.
well, it's kind of just a different implementation of that. But
Yeah,
and again, the flip side of that is depending on if you're using a block package or like a Cadence, like a Astra, whatever. That we've got tools like that there where they have their own kind of advanced query loop, and it might be able to show everything by term or whatever. But that the terms query and with the counts is kind of, if you're a publisher and you got a lot of things to say, oh, here is, and it could help if you're managing how archives are presented. So that's one thing. So it's
yeah,
like, you could have a block that says, oh, here are all the categories for a particular blog post and the counts and click on it. And now you would get to an archive of that. There's a number of ways of doing that. Now they have a block to do that specifically. And then there was the social media icons. They've expanded that.
oh, I didn't know that.
It used to be pretty locked in, and now you can add more and put some custom icons in there. Probably more useful internationally, where there are different social media sites that might not have been on the full list, but that's just kind of a small little thing.
Yeah,
I think that I think that covers most.
so it's
Curious
kind
if
of,
anybody else has run into anything on it.
I mean, it's a hodgepodge of
Yeah.
things, some better than others. Some sort of the building blocks of things maybe to come afterwards. So yeah,
I
but I
think
like,
the most interesting for me is the invisible stuff that's behind the scenes, like the activities and AI that
right.
gives gives your site the ability to talk to AI, or AI can query your site and say what's available that I can actually talk to,
Yeah, we covered
which is
that. Yeah, and
yeah.
Eagle, we talked about it a little bit in the intro thing of the part of the state of the word. So yeah, those four, there were like four things
My
we covered
bad,
for AI.
my
Yeah.
bad.
No
No,
worries.
no,
But
no. No, it's good. Yeah.
the idea that there's things that developers can latch onto, and whether there's a plugin or something that comes out that kind of connects, you're absolutely correct in saying that there continue to be things on the back end that aren't necessarily immediately obvious and even useful, except for to developers. So that's clearly one of the messages, even in state of the word and things like that. It's talking about creating an environment where there's greater opportunity for developers to be able to build upon with some level of consistency, which is a good thing. That's definitely a good thing.
Well, not just for developers though. I mean, because if you're in the habit of using AI to try to change things on your site, the interactivities AI gives that LLM a deeper look into your site and to what it can actually interface with. So that's kind of cool.
Great point, and something I'm going to have to do because I use these tools a lot. I use
Great.
AI a lot on WordPress, but not directly connecting and talking to what I'm actually working on.
Well, it's like a great segue into in a remaining time. This is our, what do we call this one again? This is our holiday grab bag.
Grab bag.
Let me
Okay.
start the grab bag
All right.
with AI. So again, this is another one I haven't played around with much. There's two. If I get time, I'll show the second one. But has anyone started playing around with AI browsers? So there's browsers actually put out by ChatGPT/OpenAI, but there's a couple of companies that have AI browsers. One of them is from Perplexity. It's called the Comet browser. So
Yep.
if you go to Comet, again, if you have a Perplexity account, you can download this for free too. But if you just open up the tab, it'll just you can type directly into Perplexity. But the neat thing is it's a regular browser, so it has the context. So like Eagle was saying, of what you're working on or what you're looking at in the browser tab. So this is one of those potential paths of AI, agentic AI these days of like, are you going to have to expose things through APIs, or is the agentic AI going to happen through these smart AI browsers? Like they'll basically, because they have access to everything you're looking at least on the web. So where it's interesting from a WordPress standpoint is, and I think I stole this from, I forget, I saw in one of the demos, maybe it was the say the word thing, but if you use an agentic browser, you can do some interesting things with WordPress. So over here in this Perplexity browser, it's called Comet. Again, it's a free browser. If I go to the Comet Assistant over here, I can say, create a blog post with the title, this is my blog post. And then hit enter. And it says, working. Oh, I see you're using WordPress. Great. I'll create a new blog post with the title, this is my blog post. Blah, blah, blah. I'm in the post section, yada, yada. And it's going to hopefully put a title in there for me. This is my blog post. Let me check. Okay, it's doing some stuff. It's showing its work. It's doing something. Took a little while, but it got there. So interesting parlay trick so far. And it's like, all right, it gives me all these additional things. So it is kind of neat though, in the sense that this has the context of, it knows what I'm doing. I'm in WordPress, and in fact, they'll look at published it for me. Okay, I guess I didn't stop it from doing that. But other stuff that I found kind of interesting in a quick test was, it can go to the admin. So like we showed with Command K, it knows I'm in WordPress, so it can do certain things like, let's see, how do I disable comments on my website? And if it's doing what I think it should do. Okay, look at this, kind of cleaning up something. I see open this block, and then the post panel, there's a discussion field. Oh, it's doing it just for this particular one, because I have it half saved. Okay, so it's opening it just for this particular blog post. I had to go before into the admin section and go to the discussion settings. And it was like, oh, you have this turned on. Here's the different ways you can do that. So it's pretty verbose of your, oh, well, maybe it's, okay, look at that. My hands are not on the wheel. It's doing this. General settings, discussion, settings area. Look at it go. I mean, would I trust it to like build an entire site for me this way? Probably not. But when we talked before about, I think we showed something early in the year, like during the summer, during our summer of AI kind of stuff. There are other tools that you can use to at least direct you to the right place. because this has the context of where you are, there are a lot of possibilities, I think, to using something like this, to guide you of how do I do this, to kind of learn something, to check things on your site. Okay, where do I find that setting? In theory, this has access to everything and it knows the context, so it can navigate around for you. So interesting. This again, the free one, comment. So something that's my first my grab bag thing under the tree. So definitely check it out. No one else has used any of these AI browsers? No? I
I
forget.
use I use I use the I use comment sometimes, but I've noticed running little snitch that comment even when I'm not using it request access to IP addresses that
Oh,
don't make any sense to me. So I tend not to use it so much. So
yeah.
I'm using Dia. Dia does pretty much the same thing. It's by
Okay.
the browser company.
Okay. Yeah. And there's one for I know like Brave browser also has well it's kind of baked in now, I think, to more of them. What's the Microsoft one there? Edge as well. I think.
Edge. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I found this one comment. It was a little interesting when I first installed it. But it was really trying to push me to make it the default browser. I mean, normally they all do
Yeah.
that, but it really was trying a couple times. Like, you sure you don't want to be maybe the default? I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good.
I just signed up to do a beta test on a new one that's coming out, and right in the sign up, they said you have to promise not to use this on any financial or banking
Oh yeah.
or other kind of sites that have proprietary or private information. So I would just pass that warning along to anybody using
Yeah.
Comet. Don't access your bank account and ask Comet to do something because you're giving it full access to your bank account.
And I even turned off the sharing information and logs and stuff with them so that they can improve. I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'll share that with you. I'll show another real quick one, Peter, unless you have something. I'll show another AI. Again, I'm stepping into your AI territory here. So
Yeah, no, no, that's good. Like we can share something else. One quick comment about what we were saying. I was one of the first. I not one of the first, but I felt like I was early on the whole, and I think it was specifically Comet. I can't remember if Claude had its own. And then I was like, oh, how to install? And I came across a video of somebody who was, and as we all know, you can get really paranoid and locked, and he was like, don't do this because of all of these security issues and all. And I'm like, I'm somewhere in between. I got to figure out where I want to be because
yeah,
obviously, we're using Google tools and you know what that means. So it's
exactly.
kind
They're all.
of,
I assume they're all spying on us. So it's
yeah,
like,
exactly.
but yeah, financial stuff probably not ready for that yet.
Good, definitely.
The other one, just real quick, and you might have showed this one in the past, Peter, because it looked kind of familiar to me. Telex, have you seen this one? I think this came up in the State of the
Yep.
Word as well.
Yeah, but show it more. And Telex improves too. So go ahead.
Yeah, so again, maybe the last time I saw it, it was still pretty early days. So what is this? It's a free thing. It's apparently part of Automatic, I believe, because there's a couple dependencies
Yep.
to this. So you can get to it from telex.automatic.ai, or just search for Telex, Telex AI, and you can get to this. So what it is it's a tool to build a custom WordPress block for you, based on the input that you put in here. So one caveat is you do need to have a WordPress.com account associated with it, but you don't need to have a paid one. So I have a free, anyone can get a free WordPress.com account. I think it needs that to do, I assume, when it saves all the stuff. So anyway, I have a real quick example I did from earlier this morning. So let's say I want to create a block for myself I want to create like an event block. So, just here's what I wrote. Again, I'm copying verbatim. I'm curious if it'll create it the same way. The one thing about AI is I find is they're very inconsistent, sometimes the same directions. So I'm saying to it, I want a block to add event information. It should include an image of the event, the location of the event, a link to a Google map for the event location, the date of the event, the start and end time of the event, and a field to enter the description of the event. So if you use something like the events calendar, imagine that, but except just in a block. So for whatever reason, you don't want to have a plugin, you just want to have a block that people can use to add events. So let's see. This may take a little while, so I apologize if we'll see if it's worth watching. Otherwise, we'll have to come back to me. So if you'll notice, I'm logged in here already to WordPress.com. So if you're not, you first have to again create the account or log in. Hopefully it won't take too long. You can see it's pretty verbose there. It's doing its thing. It's doing it. Um,
Yeah.
when
So
Go ahead.
while that's coming up, so yeah, so Telex, one of the first things is it's trained on WordPress data, so it knows WordPress intimately, and it is an automatic product. And you know, there's I got to find the link, but there's a website where somebody was doing this. You know, once a day they were running a new, create a new block using Telex. Of course, everything you do in there automatic has the opportunity to see that, oh, look what kind of blocks people are looking for and how they're going to use that information. But it doesn't mean that the fun of the tool of creating your own blocks isn't there. So
They already have the entire WordPress repository, and one person owns it all anyway. So they can do whatever they wish.
that's its own meetup, my friend.
Have you met ACF? Have you seen secure custom fields?
Oh my God, let's go there.
Yeah. So it's still working. Okay, it doesn't seem like it's confused yet. It's still doing something. What'll be neat about this is when it's done, I think it's getting close to the end here. Okay, good. So what it's going to do is it's created this event block for me. The features are requested, yada, yada, yada. So it's going to put it into, so I think it's spinning up. In fact, I'm almost positive it's spinning up Playground, I believe,
Yeah,
to
I think.
load this.
Yeah.
So here we go. I'm inside of, nope, not yet. It's still going. Yep. Oh, you know what's funny? It did it different than how it built it before. This is really interesting. I'll
Yeah.
show you the other one it did before. This is the one thing about AI tools. It built this differently for me. Okay. Well, let me get rid of, maybe it's a duplicate. Let me get rid of one of these. Okay, so it's saying, here's my event title. Let's say my big party. Location, give me just 1 second. Go to maps, google.com. Let me search for something near me. Firestone parts. Or urgent care, sure. I'm just going to copy this address. Copy the address. Go back here. Oh, where'd you go? There you
That used to be the old Krispy Kreme.
go. And you can see it's a little bit wonky, like the date thing doesn't. So let's say it's going to be on this Saturday, the start time. Some of these controls are kind of nice though. So it's going to be 8 a.m. My party's 8 a.m. My party, because I'm old, is going to end at 9 a.m. So I don't like people. And as advanced, or I can do a little bit of styling here. Let's just keep it simple and save it. And the image part, this is what kind of messed up for me before. I noticed when I tried uploading one to Playground, it wasn't letting me do it. But let's pretend I view the page, and it looks like not bad. And again, I click on
Yeah.
Google Maps here. Oops, this one's blocked probably from this. So you have this, and I guess the more interesting thing for me is, okay, and you can see it's in Playground to automatic to AI. Great. Now what can I do with this? Oh, how did I do it? Oh, if I download, that's right. So if I download this, it downloads it as a zip file.
Yeah.
So now what I can do is I can go back to my regular WordPress site, and it's basically a plugin, right? So I can add it as a plugin. So let me upload. I'm going to do the one I actually did from this morning. So it's basically the same thing. I want to make sure I'm using the one that I looked at. Activate the plugin. So this is on my site. Forget about Playground. Let's go to a page. Let's call this my events page. And then when I add it, I'll show browse all. I search for event. There we go. Event information. That's the thing I built. So again, I can select my image. So let's say it's all about cats again. And then my cat party. I won't go through the whole thing. I'll just, you get it. Here's the location, and let's just pick a date real quick for that thing. All right, keep everything else the same. Publish. There we go. So it's got my cat party and everything. This should bring me to the search page. So it's neat. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
One of the things that's great about it is because it is a WordPress automatic being the company that Matt Mullenweg owns, and most of the developers at the high end are from. is how it understands WordPress intimately and directly, whereas some of the other AI tools, although they've gotten better, depending on where it was like, oh, here are all the files you need to build your plugin, for example, if you were doing it, and then you'd have to put those together in the right format and all. Now, some of them I've discovered recently are like, will make that plugin for me, and it gave me the zip file. Telex does that automatically,
Right.
which is pretty nice when you get to that point, especially if you're going to put it on different things. It does not give you the option to just generate a snippet, for example, if you have a snippet manager
Right.
like that.
Well, because since it's a block, though, I assume it has all the other JSON, all those other things that you need for the
Yeah,
editor
yeah.
behind it.
No, you're right,
You
because
know,
it is specifically made to make blocks.
right. And again, it's one of those like again, from a use case standpoint, I wouldn't want to have 50 plugins installed to my
Yeah,
site for 50 different blocks. But if it's a quirky plugin that maybe has a specific use case,
yeah,
it's probably a good starting point. I will say that my summary of my AI year is I think there's been a lot of hype throughout the year, obviously, as you look at the stock prices of all these AI companies. But I will say where my AI journey has differed a little bit in that I think in the beginning of the year, I was probably really playing around with the generative AI stuff, and I was kind of
yeah,
wowed by that. Like, oh, look at this! I have the cat playing the piano while he's on the submarine. That wore off in like a week, and then the more you saw the generative AI, I'm like, it just looks a lot of it looks like slop. I know there's Sora and all the other crazy stuff out there now, but the early stuff to me just started looking more and more like garbage. I'd say where I've settled now on AI is the AI tools that you have either they have context baked into them or that allow you to add your own context, like Notebook LM, which we talked about before. To me, that's still the not the future of AI. That to me is still the most valuable use of AI because that's like you, Peter. I remember for a long time you were showing in OpenAI, you have these wonderful preset context things of like personas for you. Like I am a
yeah,
WordPress developer, blah blah
yeah,
blah. It's your
yeah,
biography, and then it's like, oh, okay, now I know what to do. But having to type that every time is like, oh, okay. So I think to me that's my where I am December 16th with AI. It's like it's still good and useful, but for me, it's only so much when there's context on it.
yeah, 100%. All right, want me to show? I can
Yeah, if
show a
you have
couple things
something, again, I know
I've
you're
been
still under the
using.
weather, so just we can wrap
Yeah,
up
no,
if you
I've been energized.
go back.
Thanks for the night. So let's just see. I'll show you. I hit the wrong button. I'm going to hit this, and I'm going to hit this, and I'm going to share. Because one of the things I wanted to share was this, which is um, the our last presentation, our last meetup. We were talking about Ollie,
Hmm.
and I'll put this in the chat. Mike McAllister directly, he's the developer of Ollie, shared with me this link, which he's probably shared somewhere else. I don't know how special I am, but I'll pretend that I'm super special. Why not? Put the link in the chat. Where's my chat button? I'll find it. But anyway, so here is the link to Ollie Pro. Why do we want to show this? Because when we talk about Ollie as a block theme that is really this kind of superior theme that people are thinking, wow, that should be built into core, and that's really great. And then Ray and I went through the exercises. Let's go through it. And we were like, I mean, quite honestly, I was underwhelmed. And I think Ray, and I don't want to speak for you, but it was kind of like, oh, it's a block theme
Yeah.
kind of thing. But this link here, which I'll pop in after I'm done, is to a demo from the of the premium version, which is really where when Ollie first launched, one of the things that was a big difference for it, or a differentiator, was the um, the startup wizard and the thing that walked you through being able to build a site kind of relatively straightforward. Um, so let's see if I do a magic log, and I think this is just going to bring me right into it. This is an instance on InstaWP. Um, so I think if I go here, but this is giving me the Ollie Pro. Um, and where the real the power is things like the startup wizard, which is not in the version that we were showing. Um, which, the first thing is going to say, oh, we've got some essential plugins. And then you get into the things that support, like, oh, what kind of business are you? Maybe you want to set up, certain things. So this is where, through the setup wizard, and I'm just kind of, I mean, you could pick and choose and pick your colors and all. Maybe I like the green format better. Pick your fonts as you're doing it. This is all in the premium version of Ollie, and why people were so intrigued with it in the first place. Oh, what kind of navigation do you want ahead? So, it's kind of giving you a preview of what that would look like. Saving, oh, my site's ready to go. Let me view my site. And now, in just that short amount of time, it's built me this site with all these kind of placeholders for content. There are other tools that do this, but in the full site editing world, this was, I mean, I was talking to you, just clicking on things, and now I have this site that is actually using, has been designed very kind of professionally, and is using, it's all full site editing. Pretty cool. We weren't able to show this, right, Ray, when we
Yeah.
first showed it, because it was pretty basic. It's things like the startup wizard, and some of the other tools that are behind it. So if you want to play with Ollie before paying for it, this is a great place to do that. Let me go to
Do you
the
know, Peter, with the Pro version, does it give you more patterns behind the scenes, I assume?
yeah.
Because when we looked at the free one in full site editing, I remember it gave like a certain number of patterns. But yeah, I assume the Pro has more.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah, it
just
looks like there's I think it looks like there's more.
different headings, different.
Yeah.
And I think, and these patterns, if the colors are matching, what, they're
Yeah.
predefined based on everything. Yeah, look how many, right? So this is where, again, if you want to be in full site editing and you want to be able to still spin up a site pretty quickly, um, you know, this I can see why people speak so highly of Ollie as a full site editing, close to core tool. So yeah.
It, it's interesting. I will still say that to me, it still looks like its value is, like you said, it's the pre-built templates, whether that
Yeah,
or that starter wizard thing. Once you've built a site, and you're not going to go back to the startup wizard anymore. I
correct.
assume these patterns, the reusable library of patterns, is probably a good thing. So,
Right.
but yeah, no, that's good. It's good to see it though with that wizard. I think that's kind of a shame that they couldn't include in the free version, but
Yeah, it was funny because that was part of the original version of Ollie that was put out there included this startup wizard, and that became its own kind of point of contention, quite honestly, and debate discussion about what should be in a theme versus what should be pushed into plugins and things like that. So
well,
yeah, so I
my
wanted to make sure
conspiracy
to do
theory is
that.
that WordPress.com is going to have, oh, look, it's going to have a setup wizard if it
Yeah,
doesn't already, which I think it kind of does. So.
yeah. Let me see while I got the screen if there's anything else I wanted to show you really quickly.
Yeah.
This one's kind of interesting in that it's I don't know who this is going to apply to. I thought it was interesting where it was a premium plugin, Roadmap WP, that now if you go to the paid version, they just decided to make everything free.
No.
And what's neat about this is if you have a product, but I'm trying to think about different ways to use this, but it's something where you can say, here's what we plan to do, and even get feedback from people on features and things, to something like that. Kind of a neat little feature.
Hmm.
Really quickly, and if Eagle's still on the call, I actually got this from Eagle's meetup, which is a great one. San Jose, Santa Clara meetup. We should put it in the in the link. The only thing is for us East Coasters, it's late. It goes from like 10 to midnight for us.
Ooh.
Not
And
Santa Clara, Santa Cruz.
oh, I get that wrong every time. Yeah. But San Clarita is somebody else.
Yeah,
There's a
that's
number.
Joe Simpson.
Yeah, Joe Simpson's one. So there's a number of these West Coast meetups where they all kind of like just they go from one to the other to the other. Um, Eagle, if you could put your link into your site with all your lists, he's got one of the best lists of um, some of the meetups that are online, ready to go. He's also got this online community, an email that has questions. It's really really good. But what I got from you from that was Pork Bun, which I never heard of. And Pork Bun is a registrar. So my favorite registrars are Hover, Namecheap, and now Pork Bun. And I've been using Pork Bun because one thing is they're really inexpensive if you wanted to register a domain. So we wanted to register Hartford WordPress Meetup. Oh, I can't use WordPress. Hartford can't use WordPress Meetup. And then I do the search, and it's going to bring up, and they sell their domains pretty much at cost. They're really inexpensive. Um, and it's another one just like Hover and just like Namecheap, where you get the privacy built in. You get a lot of features that are built in that other, if anybody's still using Network Solutions or some of the other hosts that we were all using that charge a lot more money and extra charge sell-up features, that kind of thing. Pork Bun, Namecheap, and Hover are places you might want to consider moving your domain to. So,
I'm still using Namecheap, but I will say, unless it's changed, the UI is absolutely horrible. the UI for
Well,
Namecheap
I
is
moved
like,
everything to Pork Bun because Namecheap got bought,
oh,
and
okay. Yeah.
yes.
I thought, okay, well that's fine. I can live with that. And then I ran across a situation with a client who needed help with. They had 8 domains that were on the networks. Well, they were on Register, but then Register got merged into Net Solutions because it's all EIG or Newfold, and
Yes.
it's terrible. Anyway, so we went to move them off, and the new Namecheap. Sorry, we don't support this domain. You can buy the domain through Namecheap, but you can't transfer the domain to Namecheap. Let me recommend my new sister. So they're pushing people to this new, really goofy looking registered site, and I thought, okay, this upsell movement, that's the kind of stuff that I'm out of here. Sorry, but also Pork Bun does some really neat stuff. Like if your client registers a domain, they can make you a designated developer so that you can
Yeah.
from your account log directly into their domain, do their name servers, their other stuff. You can't do their billing, but gives you easy access to their site. It's really easy to set up.
Yeah, that's a great feature. Hover also has that. And what we also like about these is that while they have upsells, other things that they do, they're pretty blatant about saying, hey, we're going to upsell you, or if you're interested in, as opposed to the other ones would make some of the other registrars where you're going to get rent your domain might make you go through 5 pages of, do you want this, do you want this? So these three, but I've been landing on the last bunch of, and I'm one of those guys who's still getting domains for ideas that I have that I want to make into projects. But at $11 for a .com, and even you're getting stuff for $2 or whatever. If whatever whether it's a .org, .net, that type of thing, pretty inexpensive. But yeah, the interface is pretty straightforward. And interestingly enough, I just discovered, because I was looking at Automatic, that Pork Bun is on the WP Cloud, the WP something. It actually has a relationship with WordPress, which an automatic product, which I found kind of interesting. But anyway,
Resell. I wonder if they're a reseller though. That's why I wonder if a lot of these domain places are basically like kind of third-party resellers for somebody
they
else.
are. I'm not sure, but this one, I mean, they're selling at literally they say we're selling this to you at cost right now.
I
So,
think they're their own company. I don't think they're,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
you
mine
know,
actually, no, I looked at mine is not Namecheap. Mine is Name Silo. I don't know.
yeah.
They're on sale.
Yeah. I don't know that one.
So, so the interesting thing on the when we're on domains is that like the Bluehost domain registration isn't Bluehost anymore. It's also some
Yeah.
other net solutions or net or Newfold domain
Yeah.
register. It's like
Right.
it's I just moved somebody off of their domain registration on Bluehost, and it took a friggin' week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they make it so hard.
It is, yeah, it's more painful it's easier actually to move hosting than it is to move domains from places. You got to deal with the whole, authorization thing. I've actually done that in a
Well,
while.
they all do that, but you
Yeah.
like, if you're moving, say from Namecheap to pork buns, it takes you technically, a really long time of about 20, 25, 30 minutes. You can move the
Yeah.
domain. The domain's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Net Solutions also takes they stretch it as long as they possibly can because they don't want you to move
Yeah.
and they want you to miss those letters, of
Yeah.
authorization. So they make it really difficult.
Yeah.
I will say the other
And
thing, if you're new to this too, a lot of times you'll see really, really cheap sales for domains for the first year. It's always look at that second year
always look.
price.
Right. And this is a great example of a site that makes a point of, telling you what it's going to renew at. And I think I love that kind of, just clarity, simplicity. So yeah, the recent ones that I've got have been through pork bun, and it's been great. Yeah. And like, a lot of these, they do offer other services, sometimes for crazy cheap, and those other services even being hosting and email. And one thing to make a point of is saying, the benefit of keeping your domain registration and your email and your website separate so that you're not tied into one company that has basically control of you, if you know what I mean.
It's definitely more complicated for beginners to set up. I know, like when I was first doing it, I set it up the right way for my own site in the beginning, but if you're doing it for the first time, it is a little bit of like, I hope I don't break anything, but
Yeah,
it gives you more flexibility in the end. And yeah, I've run into some clients that had all bundled, and then
yeah,
it's a pain to try to separate things. So
it really is. All right, I'm going to show one more, and I know we're coming
yeah,
up to the end.
yeah, we'll
We
wrap it
might
up after that
one
one.
thought. This one intrigues me only from it's a plugin called FormGen. And FormGen is a free plugin in the repository that appears to have the features of many of the premium form plugins. Now, I have like a lifetime license to Fluent Forms, which I'm happy with. I used to have Gravity Forms, which is considered one of the top ones. But here's something for folks to try, in terms of a super packed free form plugin called FormGen. Just wanted to share that to you. Something I came across looking at it. I mean, again, it gets into quiz build, conversational forms. That idea of like go from page to page and things like that. And yeah, the AI form creation. Load this up in Playground, like we said, and I tried it, and I said I want a form that's going to allow me to do uploads of images for a photo contest, blah blah blah. It created me a form that I'm like, yeah, I could use that. So yeah, it's just like one of those ones that sneaks out there.
Yeah, I never heard of this one.
1,000. I can't even remember where I heard it from. It's only got 1,000 users, but it's like one of these things where it's like, wow, that's pretty.
Get it while you
stuff.
can. Yeah, this seems
Yeah,
like one that eventually is going to start charging for something in addition. But yeah,
yeah,
very
pretty
neat.
great. All right, I'll
All right.
relinquish.
Well, let's wrap it up. Again, thanks to everyone for hanging on, Peter, for staying. You made it through.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, amazing. And medicine is great.
Yeah. Pro medicine.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, happy holidays to everyone. We'll see everyone in January. We'll think of some new topics then. If anyone thinks of anything that they want us to kick off the new year with, let us know. We always have ideas, but definitely like to hear what you're interested in learning. And again, thanks for turning out. Good to see familiar faces and new folks. So have a good night. Take care, everyone.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. Bye.
Okay.